Howdy, folks. I'm Practical Practice, proudly pointing towards prominent ports.
I'm Amber.
And here are more prominent ports for us to point towards. But Amber, why would we be pointing towards a port?
Because you're a compass on a ship.
Oh, so we're a magical compass. So we point towards ports, not like towards north.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
okay. I see. I understand now. It makes perfect sense.
I don't know. I was just trying to make something that involved a compass. I wasn't even thinking of how compasses actually work. I just hope no one in the physics community sees this video. I definitely did not teach intro physics way too many times.
Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for blowing up at my husband because he counted his work on our D&D games as one of his chores? I am a 35-year-old female, and my husband is a 35-year-old male, and we have been together for 10 years, blissfully happy, no notes. Over COVID, we got into Dungeons & Dragons. We have a weekly game that runs from 3 to 4 hours with 3 other friends. 5 of us have been going on adventures for the past few years, meeting constantly over Zoom. I've been having a great time overall. My husband is the DM, which means that he does a lot of the work preparing the sessions. This includes coming up with the characters that we are going to have conversations with, figuring out the battles that we are going to fight, and so on. I really appreciate his work. On the other hand, I've been feeling like I've been doing more chores in our partnership. I cook a lot, I clean the kitchen, I help with the laundry, and I do most of the driving. We tried splitting chores before. There was a period where he would try to fold laundry or do cleaning while I was cooking, but it didn't last beyond a week or 2. I normally don't particularly mind, but life has been especially hard lately due to health issues in the family, and I think it put extra stress on us. So, the other day, I was cooking dinner. During dinner, he was giving me a sneak peek of the magical items that he had made for a blacksmith in the new town, and I guess I didn't look as excited, so he asked me and said why. I said, I'll be excited when you clean up the kitchen after we are done eating. This started a major argument, and we really don't have many of those, so it was a bit intense, about how I don't appreciate his work in the campaign. I countered by saying that he's free to work on his hobbies as much as he wants, but it's not the same thing as helping me out with chores. To this, he countered that his work on D&D campaigns counts towards a chore, just like cooking and cleaning. He said he provides a space for hanging out with friends every week. In a way, he's organizing and scheduling our social life, and that takes a lot of work. I thought this was absolutely bonkers perspective. This is where things escalate because I was sort of befuddled, and I still am, and I got really hurt. He did say, the fact that you're asking shows that you don't understand how much work that I put into these campaigns. For the record, I did run a leg of the campaign as a DM for a few weeks, and I thought that it was a lot of work. But it was a hobby, at least to me. It was a fun thing that I elected to do, not something that needed to be done, like a chore. He pointed out that I don't need to cook either, that we can afford to eat out every night and hire a cleaning service for sorting out the apartment. He's not wrong, we can afford it, but it still feels weird. I eventually let it go, but I feel like I'm going to need some sort of resolution to this because I can feel the resentment bubbling in my chest. I don't want to win an argument, I'm not looking for vindication, but can someone give me insight into this conflict? Am I wrong? Am I being the jerk here? Thank you. Alright folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. And I think all Opie has to do is go to him and say, okay, I understand your D&D stuff has been so hard. Let's swap chores for a few days, for a few weeks, and see what he says. If he willingly takes over all OP's chores and hands over the reins of the D&D game, then maybe it really did feel like a chore. But I have a very strong inclination that he is not going to willingly take over OP's chores because they are actual chores.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he does bring up a valid point that there is some level of social gathering here, right? And I mean, I think that that is part of being an adult is having like a social life and coordinating those events and stuff like that. And those are important things to be done. But if he is having so much trouble with keeping up with this that it's impacting his other responsibilities and helping his wife do her work, then maybe he needs to talk to some of the other members of the group divvy up the responsibility of this, make sure that other people are pulling their weight when it comes to these campaigns, or maybe find some other activity that they can all do together that doesn't involve D&D.
Well, exactly. And like I used to plan a lot of parties. I once wrote an entire like choose your own adventure story with like 20 endings so I could have a Goosebumps choose your own adventure party. Would I count that time I spent writing the Goosebumps book as part of my chores? Absolutely not. Would I count the decorations I made as that? Absolutely not. Like, yes, there was some work that went into it in terms of like cleaning and prep work and whatnot. But the fun stuff, the creative stuff, that is not domestic labor.
Yeah, and I think that's really what this boils down to. I think that he's right to some degree that there's certainly a level of chores here, but if you're spending all of your time doing the one chore, then it feels more like you're just copping out of doing all other chores, right? And the fact that he seems to have some kind of even malicious incompetence here going, where he's like, oh, I might not be able to do these other chores, right? Unless he's being directly supervised by OP.
Yeah, well, and like to his point too, like maybe getting some help with the housework is a reasonable
Oh, yeah,
suggestion.
yeah.
But like the whole eating takeout every night, like that's not good for your nutrition or for your wallet in a lot of cases. Like most takeout places are not very nutritious and they have a lot of sodium and other preservatives and whatnot. So like it just seems like he just wants to do whatever gives him no housework regardless of what the actual health consequences are for him and OP.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think like there is a certain level of compromise here, right? He's suggesting that, oh, we could hire a cleaner if we wanted to, right? That might be a viable option for helping to alleviate some of the responsibilities around the house, but it's not going to alleviate all of the chores and all of the duties, right? And so I still think that he needs to be pulling his weight when it comes to those as well. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Kronk Lasorda says, hobby time is hobby time and not chore time. Not the jerk, I GM'd for 5 years, and it is a lot of prep work. But that's a hobby time. That took away time spent for painting miniatures or reading other games. It did not prevent me from cleaning, cooking, etc. Laundry still has to get done. His argument is laughable. And Leather Key 64 says, I think that there can be a pretty nuanced line between hobby time and chore time, though. If one spouse would be content with reheating something quickly for dinner, but the other chooses to spend 2 hours making an elaborate dinner, what part of that chore and what part of it is hobby? If someone spends tens of hours setting up a nice home theater for the family to enjoy, is that a chore or a hobby? I think there are countless examples where we do things that don't need to be done, but we do them partly because we enjoy it and partly because we enjoy what it contributes to those around us. Making preparations for valued social events seems like it fits somewhere on this gradient, just like most of the other things. The husband here, all things considered, may very well not be doing his part or shifting his priorities too far into the tasks that he enjoys, so that should be sorted out. But the binary mindset of when I spend hours making a fancy meal and stacking up dishes, it's a chore, and when you spend hours prepping for a group social event, it's a hobby, are the type of oversimple inaccuracies that I think accumulate unnecessary resentment on both sides over time.
Yeah, I mean, there's maybe a tiny grain of truth to this, but I feel like there's a big difference between like a once in a while event and something that's happening every single week that takes up all your time so you can do literally nothing around the house. You know, like I would feel differently if this was like maybe a once in a while thing potentially, but again, this is like a weekly event and it sounds like he is doing literally nothing around the house.
Well, and I mean, to make another argument, how many people do extravagant things with their laundry? Right?
Exactly.
I mean, certainly cooking can be an art form, and some people can spend hours prepping a extravagant meal, right? And that does need to be considered about, like, well, how much of that is chore, right? And because we have had arguments where people, will be like, well, this person spends, 2 hours cooking and cleaning, and they use every single dish in the house, and I don't
Yeah.
want to clean up after that every single
Right.
night. And I
Well,
would
and
rather do cooking myself.
yeah, there's like that one where someone spent like 6 hours making spaghetti or something like that.
Yeah. And I think that certainly there is a nuanced approach here. And there certainly needs to be some kind of level of, look, is she doing a lot of chores unnecessary? But it doesn't sound like she's doing necessarily that, at least from her account, right?
Right, like cooking is a thing that needs to happen on a daily basis for the most part, and like straightening up and that sort of thing. Like they're just routine household chores that have to happen.
Yeah, and as for like the movie theater in the house, like some people are movie buffs, right? But a movie theater, like to Amber's point, is a one-time thing, right? It's not, you're not setting up an extravagant movie theater every single week, right?
Right, like if you have to create other chores so you can get out of the chores that you don't like, that's a problem. And that tells me that you are doing this as like an avoidance thing and not as
Yeah,
like this is genuinely a chore.
exactly. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Today I Messed Up for Asking My Parents for a Car. So I'm in college, and I hate walking everywhere, especially when my classes are more than 15 minutes to walk. Not only that, but the town that I'm in is so small that it only has the necessary things and no fun places, so I have to travel to other cities that are nearby just to go to the mall, for example. So I asked my parents if they can buy me a car. I honestly don't care what car it is as long as it's been made in 2010 or later, and it's very functional and no problems and is very affordable. I told them to surprise me, and my parents said, okay, that's very reasonable. We'll see what we can do. Since the solar eclipse is happening, I made a surprise trip back to town, and when I was 10 minutes away, I told them, and they said that they had a surprise for me. I was so excited because now I'll have a car and I can drive to places. I get home and I chat a bit, and then my parents take me to my room and I'm blindfolded. They say that I know that I've wanted a car, and here they got me one. I hear keys jingle, and then I get more excited. Here is where my mess up on my part happens. My parents took this time to prank me, and definitely I deserved it. When they opened the blindfold, I was shocked. There was a race car bed in my room. My parent and sister were laughing their butts off while I was sitting there shocked and very confused. I did say they surprised me, and well, I was very surprised. I said, well, now I can't allow anyone in the house, even my friends. I know that I'll be made fun of for sure. I know that someone definitely will be saying, how fast are you going to go to sleep? My dad recorded the whole thing, and when the laughter died down, he proceeded to say, how fast are you going to go to sleep now? I said that I just as fast as I'll be moving out of this house. So the moral of the story is, if you have some parents that are very creative and will prank you every now and again, do not, and I repeat, do not give them the opportunity to prank you. Never tell them to surprise you. Edit, I have a bike, but it's back home. I use it every now and again, but my dad uses it more for obvious reasons. My campus is notorious for bike thefts, so it's not worth having one on campus. Plus, biking to another city would take 3 hours. It's easier by car, as it takes 30 minutes. Also, I would have to start driving back home and not have to rely on a buddy to drive me back and forth from college and home. Sometimes we have a schedule conflict and my parents then have to come and get me, so it would be easier for everyone if I can get a car and drive. And I'm not entitled, I'm simply asking for a working car that's cheap. I'm not asking for a Mercedes. Edit 2, I have a job and I'm paying for most of my college, with some help from my parents because I can't pay for everything. My parents are the type that want to take care of finances so that I can focus on studies because they know that I'll find an amazing job. But I don't like that feeling, so I pay for what I can. Currently, I just spent $1,500 for some summer classes, so I'm really down on money right now, and my parents agreed to get me a car because, in their own words, it's hard to come and get you sometimes and would be easier if you could drive everywhere. Alright folks, what do you think?
I think it sounds like everyone had a good time. That's the sort of prank where Opie's gonna still get the car. It was just kind of like a silly thing where they get to have a good laugh at Opie, and it doesn't seem like no harm, no foul.
Yeah, I don't really feel like OP was being overly entitled here or anything like that. And they were asking for a 14-year-old car. The parents could have said, no, we're not going to get you a car. But instead they said, yeah, we'll get you a car. And then they took that opportunity to pull one over him, right? And I mean, I think that's funny. I think that's cute. I don't think that OP was meaning to sound demanding or anything like that of his parents. So I just think it was a fun time.
Yeah.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, My boyfriend pressures me to use my PTO and then cancels our plans last minute, and then rubs it in my face. I'm a 31-year-old female, and my boyfriend is a 31-year-old male, and we are from the same hometown where our families reside about 4 hours away. I have a very dysfunctional relationship with my mom, so I don't enjoy going back for visits. My boyfriend, however, does enjoy visits and always insists that we spend extra days there. Over 3 months ago, he started planning this trip home for my mom's birthday. He told me that he would not go unless we stayed for an extra day, meaning that I have to take an extra day off from work. So I booked the day off of work, and I informed my mom, who is obviously very excited, there's no going back now. Now, literally days before we're supposed to go, he then announces that he has to work and won't be able to come. I can't change my plans now without causing a major fight with my mom, and it's her birthday after all. And now, the worst part of it all is his attitude. He loves joking and laughing about my dysfunction with my mom, and now he keeps howling, laughing, knowing that I'm going to be alone with her for days while he stays back, living it up at our home, rubbing it in my face that I have to go and he doesn't. He finds it funny that my mom is going to expect me to sleep in the same bed as her and smother me the entire time that I'm there. Now, without him to buffer anything or provide me with any relief. I personally feel like he didn't try to get off of work, and this is not the only time that he has done this. This is probably the third time that I've taken off time that he's requested, and then he backs out last minute after everything is said and done. There have been times when I purchase expensive show tickets, all for him to cancel because of work, and then I eat most of the cost. It really feels like he sets all of this up to get me out of the house for the weekend. I can barely eat or sleep thinking that I'm going to go home this weekend, and I feel so betrayed by him yet again, especially finding this all a big funny joke. It must be nice for him to come home from a normal family where you are free to make your own decisions, but sadly I didn't come from that. My mom is mentally ill, and I don't see her often due to her constant overstepping of my boundaries. My boyfriend and I have had literal fights over me not taking time off to go home, and he always complains that we don't do enough back and forth, and essentially it's my fault because I won't take days off of work. Obviously, I'm hesitant when he pulls a bait and switch every time we make a plan. Am I too emotional to see the situation clearly, or is this something that I have a reason to be very upset over? He is upset with me for not being in a good mood now because I'm so filled with dread and anxiety. Alright, folks, what do you think?
I think that it is time to dump this man. He does not sound like a good partner at all. Like, I can understand that occasionally things will come up last minute, but he should have not been laughing at you and acting like it's funny for you to be in this bad situation. You know, it sounds like you have a very tough relationship with your mom. She doesn't have healthy boundaries and healthy coping mechanisms. And for him to just like think it's funny that he's throwing you to the wolves, like that's not what a supporting, loving partner does.
You know, OP, I have a funny joke for you to play on your boyfriend. How about you dump him and you say, haha, we're broken up, haha. And then move your separate ways, because that's really what needs to be done here. I think that this guy, I would be surprised if this wasn't done on purpose and maliciously. Like, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me type of thing, right? Where I'm not blaming OP, of course, but I'm saying, like, as the old expression goes, like, he seems to be doing this in a patterned behavior. He sets these things up and then pushes you down, right? It's like Lucy setting the football up for Charlie Brown and then him missing it because she pulls it out from underneath him, right? She does it on purpose, right? He's doing this on purpose. It seems like it's just happening too often for it just to be coincidental. And then the fact that he's rubbing it in OP's face on top of that just shows that he doesn't actually care about OP's emotional well-being.
No.
And I know that OP is from a family where her boundaries were constantly violated, and she sounds like this might have been kind of like an abusive situation, and it may be hard for OP to see that the current relationship that they're in may also be abusive.
Right. Well, that's the thing, is like a good partner does not laugh at their partner's suffering. Like, if he like was a good partner and he knew that he had left you in this situation because work really did come up last minute, he should be apologetic, helping you find some way to get out of this trip and like, oh, well, tell your mom we can reschedule for this other weekend or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. And not like, ha ha ha, look at you. You have to go spend time with your mom on your own. Like,
Yeah. It's just gross. It really is. It's terrible. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she allegedly has a joke, but it's more like a jovial Bobstein reminiscence.
Brenda, hey, you put too many stamps on this letter. Michelle, uh-oh, I hope it doesn't go too far.
Ah! Another side slapping laughathon with jovial Bobstein, folks. And I have licorice spice. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy terrific Tuesday, folks! Spelled TWO! Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it in the form of a haiku.
How fast will you go? Take a nap in your car bed, and then you will know.
I think that works. That is a haiku. It is certainly a haiku. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.